In a high-rise building towering over San Francisco's financial district, Emily Watson sat at her desk on the 38th floor of a major tech company, studying the numbers on her screen. As the clock struck 3 in the afternoon, steam rose from her Starbucks coffee cup, swaying in the California sunlight streaming through the window. "Ms. Watson, could you please review the third quarter budget proposal?" Looking up at her colleague's voice, she could see the Bay Bridge gleaming beyond the open office. In her 7th year as a project manager, Emily's salary had reached $150,000 annually, enough to rent a luxury apartment in Nob Hill on her own. Her phone buzzed. It was an Instagram notification from her sister Ashley. "Wedding preparations are complete." The post from the influencer with 500,000 followers had already garnered thousands of likes. Ashley had walked a path opposite to Emily's. Immediately after graduating high school, she began her Instagram career and found success collaborating with luxury brands like Louis Vuitton and Chanel. Their father Thomas, an executive at a real estate development company, had been involved in constructing San Francisco's skyscrapers. Even now, he never missed a chance to network at the golf club on weekends. Always concerned with the Watson family's reputation, he seemed to take pride in Ashley's social media success as if it were a modern-day society debut. Their mother Grace, since retiring as an elementary school teacher, had made it her daily routine to check her daughter's social media accounts. She always made sure to be the first to comment on Ashley's posts. Every time Emily saw her mother's comments, she felt a slight tightening in her chest. Ashley's fiancé, Michael Bradley, was one of Silicon Valley's most promising young entrepreneurs. The startup he founded was valued at over $1 billion, and he had even graced the cover of Forbes' 30 Under 30 feature. With an estimated net worth of $20 million, he had met Ashley through her Instagram and decided to propose after just 3 months. Their wedding, scheduled for 2 weeks later, would be held at San Francisco's most prestigious Ritz-Carlton. The budget, $5 million. Guest list, 500 people. It was set to be a grand celebration bringing together social media celebrities and Silicon Valley heavyweights, the cream of San Francisco society. All the preparation details were handled by her mother and Ashley. Emily was only told the time and place on the invitation. Still, she genuinely wished for her sister's happiness. Outside the window, the Bay Bridge began to turn orange in the evening light. Emily let out a deep sigh and turned back to her laptop screen. On the morning of Ashley's wedding day, Emily was working from home as usual. From her top-floor Nob Hill apartment, she looked down at San Francisco bathed in gentle autumn sunlight. Her MacBook displayed next week's presentation materials, while the aroma of Blue Bottle coffee wafted through her spacious living room. "Just need to replace this chart in the slides." She had reviewed the materials until late last night and started working at 6 a.m. today to make it to her sister's wedding. The living room, furnished in modern white pieces, reflected her perfectionist nature. Everything was minimally organized, creating a magazine-worthy space that mirrored her meticulous personality. In the quiet space where only keyboard clicks echoed, her phone suddenly rang. Checking the screen, she found 20 missed calls from her mother Grace and 10 messages from her father Thomas. Notifications from relatives and friends were also pouring in. Emily's heart began to race. She had never received this many calls from her parents before. With slightly trembling fingers, she opened the latest message. "Answer your phone right now. What do you think you're doing? Everyone is waiting for you." Emily took a deep breath and dialed her mother's number. Before the first ring even finished, her mother's voice came through. "Come here right now, you good-for-nothing." Her mother's voice shook with anger. Emily instinctively gripped her phone tighter. A spine-chilling fear coursed through her body. "What's wrong? I'm working right now. How dare you do this? This is your sister's most important day. Come to the Ritz-Carlton immediately. Everyone is waiting for you. Did I do something wrong? There's still time until the wedding starts. No excuses, just come right now. You shameless girl." The call ended abruptly. Emily's hands had turned ice cold, her fingers trembling as they held the phone. Outside her window, the city looked the same as always, but the air in her room suddenly felt heavy. The Golden Gate Bridge gleamed red in the distance as usual, yet she felt the world beginning to distort around her. As she tried to stand, her knees buckled. Taking deep breaths, Emily made her way to her closet. She reached for the navy dress she had prepared for the wedding, a simple but high-quality piece recommended by a Tory Burch sales associate. When she bought it 2 weeks ago, her heart had been full of joy at the thought of celebrating her sister's special day. Her hands shook so much she struggled with the dress zipper. While touching up her makeup in front of the mirror, she double-checked the invitation. The thick, luxurious paper with gold foil lettering clearly showed a 3 p.m. start time. Various possibilities whirled in her mind. She had no idea why her family was angry or what she had done wrong. While fixing her pale face with powder, Emily remembered her childhood. Her sister had always been the favorite, while she played the role of the responsible older sister. She had accepted this as inevitable. Calling a taxi, Emily gathered her essentials. Her usually perfectly organized thoughts were now in chaos. She didn't know where to begin. Her steps toward the door felt uncertain. Just before opening it, she caught her reflection in the wall mirror. Her face had gone completely pale. While waiting for the elevator, another call came from her mother. Emily stared at the screen and declined it. Her heartbeat seemed to echo louder than the elevator's descent. Even as she crossed the luxury apartment lobby, the doorman's "heading out, Ms. Watson," seemed to come from far away. Only the sound of her new Jimmy Choo heels clicking against the marble floor reached her ears with strange clarity. The taxi was already waiting when she reached the ground floor lobby. Her voice cracked as she told the driver, "To the Ritz-Carlton." The taxi wound its way between skyscrapers toward their destination. In a hurry, Emily gave a small nod to the driver's question. The usually 15-minute journey felt unusually long today. The cityscape through the window seemed oddly vivid. Her phone screen kept displaying incoming calls and notifications from family members. The clock hands moved with cruel slowness. Each time the taxi stopped at a light, Emily's inner anxiety grew. Something was happening at the Ritz-Carlton right now. As she stepped out at the Ritz-Carlton's luxurious entrance, Emily's heart leaped. Beyond the gleaming glass revolving doors, countless champagne gold chandeliers sparkled. Rolls-Royces and Bentleys lined the entrance, with valet parking staff bustling about. "The Watson wedding is in the main banquet room, madam." Nodding at the concierge's polite direction, Emily walked across the marble floor. Her footsteps echoed through the vast lobby like an ominous premonition. The sound of her heels felt like a countdown to her own execution. Photos of Ashley and Michael lined both sides of the hallway, their viral engagement photos and pre-wedding shots. Emily faltered for a moment at the sight of her sister's perfect smile. "This way, miss." The moment the staff member reached for the double doors, Emily felt an urge to run away. But that choice was no longer available. As the doors opened, 500 pairs of eyes turned to her at once. The venue was breathtakingly elegant. Pure white rose arches reached almost to the ceiling. Baccarat crystal glasses were precisely arranged on tables covered with silk tablecloths adorned with Tiffany blue ribbons, reflecting soft light. Preparations that normally took 3 hours had been perfectly executed. And in this beautiful space, time seemed to stand still in silence. At the front, Ashley, in her pure white wedding dress, was covering her face and crying. Beside her stood Michael in his tuxedo, wearing a stern expression. Their parents were in the front row, their mother in tears, their father red-faced and trembling with anger. "So you finally showed up." Their mother's voice cut through the heavy air. "How could you do something so terrible?" Emily stood frozen in confusion. Whispers began to circulate. "So that's the problematic sister. How could she? Poor bride." The gazes of the guests in their luxury brands felt like needles piercing her skin. Emily desperately forced out her voice. What's happening?" At that moment, Michael stepped forward. His expression showed a severity Emily had never seen before. "The wedding started at 11 a.m., Emily." At those words, something snapped in Emily's mind. The invitation. She was sure it had said 3 p.m. But the invitation. "Are you saying Ashley didn't tell you the real time?" Her mother's voice rang through the venue. "You ruined your sister's special day because you didn't even bother to check properly." Emily pulled out the invitation from her bag with trembling hands. But when she saw the printed text, the blood drained from her face. It clearly showed 11 a.m. Yet this was completely different from her memory. My invitation." As Emily lost her words, Ashley suddenly burst into tears. "My perfect wedding is ruined because of you, big sister." At that moment, voices of condemnation began rising from around the venue. Famous influencers, Silicon Valley celebrities, San Francisco's upper class, all their eyes accused Emily. She felt the ground swaying beneath her feet. Her vision began to blur. The luxurious decorations, the chandeliers sparkle, everything seemed to be drifting away. She tried to speak, but no sound came out. Instead, Hot liquid streamed down her cheeks. Emily realized she was crying. Her luxury brand makeup began to run. Her perfectly styled hair became disheveled. But none of that mattered anymore. The only thought dominating her mind was the desire to escape this place. Leave. Her father's cold voice delivered the final blow. You are no longer our daughter. Emily turned on her heel. The same heel clicks that had accompanied her arrival now echoed as the sound of her escape. She ran through the double doors, down the luxurious hallway, past the happy photos of Ashley and Michael, under the lobby chandeliers. When she reached the entrance, San Francisco's characteristic fog had thickened. In the white wall of limited visibility, Emily collapsed to her knees. The life she had built over 34 years was crumbling with a crash in just one day. As she waited for a taxi, her phone kept ringing. But she no longer wanted to hear anyone's voice. Through the fog, church bells struck 3, the time written on Emily's invitation. The sound echoed as if emphasizing the cruel reality. That night, Emily's apartment was shrouded in darkness. Though San Francisco's night view sparkled outside her window, she had lost even the will to turn on the lights. She lay on the living room sofa, staring at the ceiling. Her makeup was smeared, her luxury brand dress wrinkled, a state completely unlike her usual perfectionist self. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing. Missed calls from her mother exceeded 50, messages from her father topped 100. Social media notifications cascaded like an avalanche. Please, stop. As she tossed her phone to the corner of the sofa, a message arrived from her friend Kate. Emily, that must have been terrible. I was there at the venue. I saw everything. Emily found herself focusing on the screen, reading words from a friend who never normally spoke ill of others. Michael stopped the ceremony halfway through. Said he finally saw Ashley's true nature. Emily's heart began to race. Apparently Ashley planned it all. She had your invitation reprinted with a different time. The smartphone trembled in her hand. The following messages revealed the horrifying truth. Yesterday, Ashley's assistant spilled everything. She never wanted you at the wedding, but when your parents objected, she came up with this plan. Emily read the screen through tear-blurred eyes. But Michael found out by chance. He exposed everything during the ceremony. Said he couldn't marry someone capable of such a vile act. As the truth came to light, all the previous events took on a different color. Her sister's cold glances, her parents' excessive reactions, the strange atmosphere at the venue, all the pieces fit together like a cruel puzzle. I heard they're demanding a full refund of the $5 million Ritz-Carlton reservation. Michael's lawyers are involved. Kate's messages continued. Emily's hands began to shake. Was it anger, sadness, or relief? Complex emotions swirled within her. Just then, her apartment intercom rang. Emily. Open up. Please. Her mother's voice. Gone was her usual authoritative tone, replaced by a pleading one. We were wrong. Please forgive us. Her father's voice joined in. His usual dignity had vanished, replaced by a thin, weak voice. Emily rose from the sofa, slowly standing in the darkness. Her feet were unsteady. 24 hours ago, she could never have imagined such a situation awaiting her. The intercom kept ringing. Her phone kept vibrating. Social media notifications continued without pause. It was as if the whole world was trying to speak to her. Big sister. Please. Open up. Ashley's voice. Crying, begging. But her voice no longer stirred Emily's heart as it once had. Emily slowly picked up her smartphone and opened the settings. One by one, she added family numbers to her block list. Social media accounts were blocked one after another. Mother, father, sister, relatives. Like deleting digital data, she methodically severed the relationships she had built throughout her life. Emily, are you okay? I'm coming over now. A new message from Kate. But Emily didn't reply to that either. She didn't want to talk to anyone. Didn't want to hear anyone's voice. Outside the window, San Francisco's night view shone with unchanging beauty. The lights of skyscrapers twinkled like constellations. While gazing absently at this scene, Emily opened an airline website on her smartphone. Anywhere is fine. The farther the better. She searched for flights without deciding on a destination. For the first time in her life, she was about to take action without a plan. For a perfectionist like her, this was a significant change. The intercom finally stopped. Instead, she could hear her family's voices directly from beyond the door. Please, Emily. Listen to what we have to say. Let us apologize. But her mind was already made up. Standing up, she went to her bedroom and pulled out a suitcase. She began stuffing clothes into it haphazardly, behavior unimaginable from her usually meticulous personality. She opened her MacBook and accessed her company email. She quickly composed a leave request. I am requesting 2 weeks of leave due to health reasons. Simple text. Words that could be true or false. The moment she pressed send, she heard movement from the hallway. Security, please. Could you open the door? Our daughter might be in danger. Her mother's voice. Then a man's voice. I'm sorry, but without the resident's permission. Emily hastily grabbed her suitcase. Passport, wallet, phone. Taking only what was truly necessary, she headed for the emergency stairs. She descended silently from the 34th floor to the underground parking garage. In the dark stairwell, her phone vibrated again. The screen showed a call from an unknown number. Probably a relative or family friend. She had no intention of hearing anyone's voice anymore. Reaching the underground parking garage, she immediately launched a ride-sharing app. Entered San Francisco International Airport as the destination. The car arrived minutes later. In a hurry, ma'am? The same question for the second time today. But this time, her answer was different. No, take your time. Emily sank deep into the back seat. Her phone screen displayed over 200 missed calls. But they no longer stirred her heart. 6 months later, San Francisco was bathed in spring sunlight. On the 45th floor of a new office building in the financial district, Emily looked down at the unchanged cityscape from her spacious private office. 1 month into her promotion, her new title of vice president marked a major turning point in her life. On her desk lay the contract for a $100 million project signed last week. Her former perfectionism had faded, replaced by a calm confidence that showed in her expression. "Ms. Watson, confirming your appointment with the psychologist." Emily quietly nodded at her secretary's message. The weekly sessions had become an important part of her new life. "Thank you. This will be our final session." Her new luxury apartment in the Marina District had a different feel from her previous home. The interior was unified with warm color tones, and the walls were decorated with photographs she had taken from around the world. The 2-week leave had turned into a 2-month world tour, an experience that had greatly changed her. Her smartphone displayed a message from an acquaintance, news about Ashley's recent activities. Emily was no longer disturbed by news of her sister. She quickly cleared the screen and looked out the window. The spring sunlight gently illuminated the Bay Bridge. Apology emails still arrived weekly from her parents. The words that once filled her with anger and hatred no longer stirred any waves in her heart. Her last reply email was sent 3 months ago. Since then, she had watched news of her family home's sale and her father's company's management crisis with a detached perspective. "Emily, can you make it to dinner tonight?" A group chat with her new friends. Relationships she couldn't have imagined 6 months ago. Women she met in psychological counseling who shared similar experiences. Time spent with them had brought Emily new values and perspectives. "Of course. It's a special day, so I'll bring champagne." She smiled as she sent her reply. When she stopped pursuing perfection, life began to show unexpected richness. A knock on her office door, her new project team members. The once strict project manager had transformed into a trusted leader for her staff. "Everyone, please take a seat. I want to hear your new ideas today." The whiteboard in the conference room gradually filled with innovative ideas. Free thinking without fear of failure, it was a new corporate culture born from her own transformation. At dusk, Emily was heading to her final counseling session. The setting sun painted San Francisco's streets golden. "You've changed significantly over these 6 months." Emily smiled gently at the counselor's words. "Yes, but I think this isn't an ending, it's a beginning." After the session, Emily walked through the evening streets of San Francisco. Through the tourist-filled Fisherman's Wharf, she now enjoyed walking among the crowds she once avoided. On her way to the restaurant where her new friends waited, she suddenly stopped. At the corner of an alley stood a small church. She briefly thought of her family who had rejected her on the wedding day. "Someday, surely," she whispered softly. The hatred and anger were gone. She knew from her own experience that people could change. At the restaurant's terrace, she raised her glass with the women who had become her dear friends. To new life. The toast echoed in the night sky. Outside the window, the full moon gently illuminated the city. A new sparkle dwelled in Emily's eyes. Her story was just beginning.